Hi, this is Maria Williams. Today I'm sharing a video with you to show you how to use some of your white scraps on white cardstock to create a tone-on-tone striped background. And what I like to use is the two-way glue pen. So all I do is get my first strip ready and put glue all the way down, and then I usually start at the corner and just kind of eyeball it and put the first strip down. And then I take another strip, and I happen to have a partial strip here, and I put it down, and then I just apply the glue next to that strip all the way down and put a new one down. Right, I butt it up against it and press it down. And then you do have to remember to keep moving your spacer piece. But you can see this goes pretty quick. And if you put the strips, instead of putting them like this, if you put them like this so they're close to the edge, then when you trim, you'll have all these long pieces left over and you can reuse them. So you really don't need as many strips as you might think. And you'll see on the next background that we do that that one is a little bit more challenging. I'm not going to worry about putting another piece over there. And then again, I'm just going to take my scissors, trim it off. And there's the first one. And sometimes what I like to do, just to make sure it's really well adhered, is I put a piece of printer paper or scrap paper on my Big Shot, and then this on top and the other plate, and I run it through just so that it really presses everything down. For this second panel, hopefully you can see I have arranged the strips on the diagonal, and in this particular one I have alternated the position of the strips from one side to the other. On the one that I'm going to show you how to make, they're actually going to be butted up against each other, but it's basically the same idea. And on the previous one, I had the background cardstock cut to exactly the right size, but on this one I'm going to show you how you can start out with a larger piece of cardstock and then trim the whole thing down once it's finished. So what I have done is I have created myself a little cheater piece, is what I call it, because I'm not sure what to call it. So anyway, it's just a triangle that's cut at a 45-degree angle, and so I'm using a little piece of tape and sticking it to my Stampin' Trimmer. And then what I'll do is I'll take the strips and I can just kind of butt them up against that piece and then trim. And I'm going to trim both pieces, both ends of each one of the strips, just so I have that ready. Another way that you can cut your strips from a different size scrap of paper is to take the whole piece and go ahead and cut the angle. And actually I could start it a little bit lower and trim, and then just line it up with the 1/2 inch mark and cut your strips that way. And you'd end up with smaller strips, but it's basically the same principle. It depends how big you need your strips to be and what kind of scraps you have. Okay, so now that I have a few strips ready to go, I'm taking a piece of smoky slate cardstock, any color that'll stand out on your white cardstock will do, and I am finding the middle of my panel and just placing the piece of smoky slate cardstock right down the middle, and this is going to help me place my strips right up against it so that they're all at the same angle. So I'm going to actually start in the middle. And for this first strip, I'm going to apply the glue directly to the back of this strip. And I'm just guesstimating how far the glue needs to go. I'm just going to put it right there, following the cardstock. And again, the idea is that you can butt it up against it. So I would not use paper. I would definitely use cardstock or even something a little bit thicker than that. And then, just like before, I'm going to place a spacer piece just to make sure that everything is really lined up. Apply the glue directly to the panel and keep applying strips. So I'm going to keep filling this in, and when you get to this point, you'll notice that this angle works for the edge of the card. So if you want to just line it up, then you don't have to trim that side later on. So I'm just trimming these. And again, this one is going to be trimmed down to the correct side. This panel is larger than it needs to be. So I don't have to worry too much. I'm going to go ahead and remove this. I'm not going to need it anymore. And again, like before, on the first strip on this side, I need to put the glue on the strip. And I'm just going to butt it up to the strip that's there and just press it down. And on this side, if you wanted to go ahead and eyeball it, you definitely could. I'm a little bit of a control freak, so I think I'm going to use a spacer. Actually, maybe not. This is the part you're really concerned with right here down the middle. Unless you're going to cover it, you need these to line up as perfectly as possible. There we go. And because it is tone on tone, it's a little bit more forgiving. If you were to do this with two different colors, you definitely would have to be a little bit more careful about the strips being exactly the same size, because any discrepancies would be pretty noticeable. But I think because this is tone on tone, you can get away with a little bit of mismatch. Looks pretty good to me. And here, because I have nothing to butt it up against, I will put another strip in place. And keep going. And like I said before, this is a, let's see, 4.5. So if I want it to be even, I need to take off 1/4 inch off either side. I'm going to make sure I'm pressing down pretty hard, maybe run it twice. And as you can see, it cuts right through. Then I'm going to do the other side. And then the length of the panel right now is 5.5, and I want that at 5 1/4. Go. Let me just trim that off. And there's my finished panel. My video with the step-by-step instructions for both cards ended up being too long for YouTube, so I'm just going to show you the finished cards and some of the supplies I used. For the first card, which is the one with the diagonal pattern, I used the Flower Shop stamp set and the pansy punch to punch the flowers out, and I also used the tags and labels framelits, these two larger ones, to cut around the sentiment. Everything was stamped in black archival ink, and I used some of the metallics sequins, some of the little black ones, to place around the card, and then I added a little bit of Wink of Stella for a little shimmer to the flowers. For the second card that I made using the second background, I used the Bravo stamp set. I used the Way to Go in the circle, and then the 3 banners have the You Did It on them. I used the banner punch to punch the edges of the strips to make banners, and then I accented the card with some of the gold stars from the metallics sequins and with some candy dots. And that finishes both of my cards. I hope you like the finished cards, and I hope you will give this technique a try.